If a woman goes into a coma for a year, does she still get all of her periods? Yes, it does. The periods generally become irregular when the patient is in a coma for a long period of time. If the patient regains consciousness, it can become regular again. Exposing the patient to regular day-night cycles of light and dark can keep the periods regular for longer, as well as reduce the risk of delirium if when the patient wakes up. If that part is not affected, yes. I remember a case of a pregnancy of a woman while in a coma, where all male staff had to have DNA samples taken. I read about this. A nurse explained how she changed pads, brushed hairs, etc. on those patients. There was a situation that happened in Arizona where a woman was placed in one of those vent farm care homes where the sole purpose is to keep a person alive who is now a vegetable. She was RP'd by one of the nurses there. Nobody knows how often or for how long. The kicker? They didn't even realize she was pregnant until a nurse's aide saw a baby's head coming out when she went to change her diaper. This comatose woman, who was supposed to have routine day-to-day care, whose family claimed to make frequent visits, went 9 months without anyone ever noticing she was pregnant. She had been in a coma for 14 years, so I can't imagine she was overweight. The baby survived, is 6 years old now. So yes, people in comas can still menstruate. HTTPS. I was in a coma for a month and a half, and it didn't come for that time, and not for a month after waking up either. I know they tested for pregnancy as well, it wasn't that. Didn't we have a case when a brain-dead patient got pregnant? If their reproductive system is still functioning, then yes, I believe they would. It depends on the nature of the coma and what's causing it. Some patients don't because their body is basically in survival mode and they become amenorrheic. Others still have a period. One comatose patient was impregnated by a caretaker who was raping the comatose patients. I wish I never saw this post. The comments are depressing. Yep, and the nursing staff will just clean her up. We do all the time with women in the ICU who are menstruating. I asked my nurses when I woke up from my coma, they said I got it. It depends, I guess. Periods are very sensitive to trauma, changes in food intake, your exercise routine, your life, meds, etc. So there might be a lot of women who have it and a lot of women that don't. There was a horrendous story in Arizona in the last few years about a woman who was in a vegetative state, essentially a coma, since she was a child due to a near drowning. She was now in her mid-20s at a care home and became pregnant. Such terrible, horrible sexual abuse to this poor woman. They caught the guy who worked there. But the family is suing the nursing home, claiming negligence based in part that in 9 months no staff or carers noticed that she had stopped getting her period. Yeah, that's wild to think about. I guess her body might still think it's doing its thing. Nature's kinda crazy like that, man. They do. All body functions remain as is unless it's a specific coma. Not a coma, but someone I know who was paralyzed from the waist down after an accident was recommended the hormonal IUD during her hospital stay to stop her periods and make one less thing to worry about while she was rehabilitating. The menstrual cycle is part of the autonomous nervous system and will continue if no physical condition stops it. There was a case recently where a woman in a nursing home, 29 years old, was raided by an employee and was impregnated. She wasn't in a full coma, but a mostly vegetative state and had severe intellectual disabilities. There have been cases where comatose women have been attacked and impregnated by caretakers. I believe it depends on the other health status of the patient. I have heard from trauma patients whose periods stopped for several months while the rest of the body heals. It would depend on the case, I suppose.